Yeah, lakini hiyo pesa nitaipata kweli?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing the comments here. The challenge, retirement benefits in Kenya are paid under two laws, the Pensions Act, the Retirement Benefits Act. But there's somebody who said the devil is always in the detail. The limits, the payback period, trustees can be twisted by the government. We want to publish details. Will I access the money once I get to the age of retirement? Will my money be there? Saving for retirement is not really a challenge. Accessing your money back is.
That's the question.
Yeah, and many times if you ask that person, do you know, give me the experience of somebody that you know who has not been able to access their money back. They'll be like, but these things are always there in the news. but haven't you been hearing those stories? Mimi nilikuwa nasikia watu wakisema, we want to get into that conversation, continuing the conversation with our panel here, bringing the mic to the ground. Tom Kiptanui, the Director of Market Conduct and Industry Development at the Retirement Benefits Authority. Eric Kavivia, the Business Development Manager and Lead Coach at Liberty Assurance. James Juma, Fund Accountant at Equity Life Assurance. And Godwin Simba, Council Member at the Association of Pension Trustees and Administrators of Kenya. Association of Trustees and Administrators. We don't want to bring in the bank people here into this association and the managers. It's only the trustees and administrators.
There you go.
Surely, why? I think we should start from there. And then we have, of course, other people who will be engaging with this conversation and asking. Godwin, I want to start with you. Okay? Why are we saying pension trustees and administrators and not other people in this ecosystem? Why is this only dealing with two? You can take this mic from behind here to come to you.
Thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. As mentioned, my name is Godwin Simba. I'm a council member at the Association of Pension Administrators and Trustees of Kenya, and quite spot on, Eric. It is an association of the trustees and the administrators, and our core mandate, ideally, is to bring together the administrators and the trustees and also the retirement benefit schemes together into a platform where they can have discussions, deliberate, and consult on matters of social security, and if possible, push for policy reforms. Ideally, the main core of that is the fact that the administrators and the trustees are in the core of driving the best practice in terms of management, and also in terms of ensuring that there is a safeguards insofar as the pension savings is concerned. Of course, there are other multi-stakeholders in the industry, including the Retirement Benefits Authority that we work closely with, and also other stakeholders like the fund managers and the custodians who are in the industry.
Okay, so you push for policy, better environment. Yeah. Give us like a recent win that you've had.
Yes, indeed. If you look at the retirement benefit sector, maybe to just paint a picture is the fact that the Retirement Benefits Act was enacted in 2007, so we are barely more or less shy of 30 years in terms of sector development. And ideally, one of those issues that we try to advocate within the retirement benefit space, of course, the critical challenge is issues of coverage within the pension space, as well as also issues of prudent stewardship in terms of the assets that we've had. I'm sure of late recently we've seen a lot of government involvement in matters of pension and retirement benefits savings. One of them, which was a quick win, was the fact that government introduced tax incentives for people who are retiring, and as of now, for any Kenyan who is saving, if you accumulate your retirement benefits and you retire today, chances are that you will go and access those benefits tax-free. And that was one of those policy issues we were pushing as an industry. The other bit has been also to ensure that there is a good governance within the existing retirement benefit schemes. And when you look at the structure of the retirement benefits, they are actually run by the employer and employees, and they have trustees who coordinate the issues of management of those funds. And one of the issues that we are actually having a conversation is how do we empower those trustees to ensure that they safeguard that small amount of money or big that every member is contributing. And we are pushing in form of issues of reforms of capacity building, the tenure of the trustees. The other day we saw trustee boards in the retirement benefit schemes can now serve up to 5 years. Initially, they will serve for 3 years because retirement benefits are a long-term game. It takes care of your future in retirement and is not an immediate sort of an investment vehicle that you can crystallize now. And I think that's a conversation we'll have after this, because I'm sure the mindset of many people is like, retirement is, something I'm looking at in the next 30, 40 years. It's not urgent. But in most cases, you realize that as an association, we try and say, fine, you are focusing on today. You have immediate needs today to save for retirement, but you also need to think about your tomorrow. So it's securing your both today and your tomorrow. And that's what we advocate for at the APTAC, which is the association. Thank you.
Okay. I like that you've given us that insight. I'm thinking through people who want to obviously save for their retirement, but they're like, you know what, I already have a statutory deduction that leaves my pay slip, or that I'm required to contribute to voluntarily in one way or the other. Why go for a private one? I want to give that one to Juma here. Like, why should I, go the extra mile of another investment scheme when there is already a statutory one?
Thank you, Mariam. I think it's an issue to do with adequacy. So
perhaps also tell us your name and where you work, so that we can have context for why you should be the one telling us this.
Thank you. My name is James Juma. I work at Equity Life Assurance. I'm a manager in charge of fund accounting. So basically what we do is we have a fund, a DA fund, about 21 billion. Participating employers are SMEs, occupational schemes. So basically what we do is we manage those funds on behalf of the many schemes and SMEs within the fund. Yes.
So then, why the extra fund?
Yes. So why, just probably can take you back a little bit. Before the enactment of the NSF Act of 2013, we used to contribute NSSF 200 shillings employee, 200 shillings employer.
Yeah.
So probably you could have contributed for 10 years. When you go to NSF to check how much you have accumulated for those 10 years, you'll find that it is nothing much to write home about. The beauty about it is now with the enactment of the Act, the contributions have increased. From last year, a minimum limit of 6,000. We are now moving towards a low earnings limit of 7,000, 8,000. So the contributions are increasing a little bit.
Right.
But still, from an adequacy perspective, that is still not sufficient. Because we are looking at getting an income replacement ratio, what is recommended globally,
right,
of 70%. So what it means is, if I'm earning 100,000 shillings today, at retirement, I should be able to at least replace my income up to 70,000. So ask yourself, whatever you are saving within the NSSF, is it sufficient to be able to take care of the future you once you retire?
Right.
Yeah.
So that, I like that you've given us that context, because when we think of retirement, we think of it as enough to subsist on, but it's good to have that threshold of 70% of what you are making. Is that what you're making at the time of retirement?
Yes. Just the last income before you retire.
Okay.
So yes.
So then that will be quite high for a lot of people, because obviously as you get older, you make more. Then that brings about the need for investment schemes, for pension schemes and funds. But then the question would be, are people already stretched thin as is? How do you convince someone to go the extra mile? Like we've heard from the regulator, and they've given us their reasoning behind that. How do you convince someone to go the extra mile when still it looks like something that's happening 30, 40 years in the future?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. So one, you have to look at it from this perspective, that there is something already there provided within the statutory limit of NSSF. And you are trying to strike a balance between your current needs. I think that is the biggest challenge. How do I strike a balance between my current need, which look more pressing?
Yeah, the bills are chasing me today.
Yes, today.
Today.
And I have to, you are telling me that I have to split my income today between my current needs and future needs.
Yeah.
But if we try to paint a picture of what will happen to you in retirement, in terms of who will take care of you. Society at the moment, our social structures have disintegrated. You can't say your children will take care of you. You can't say government will take care of you. So it is painting that picture of the only person that will take care of the future you is the current you. So that gives you the perspective that whatever you put in today, let compound interest do the heavy lifting for you. in the next 10, 20, 30 years, then at least at the end of the journey, you have something substantial to take after yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then my next question, always when you're giving someone money, you have to ask, what's in it for them? So how do you, as Equity Life Assurance, make money?
Nice, good question. I have to answer that. So we have, as I mentioned earlier, we have a deposit administered fund. So this is a guaranteed fund, pulling money from different participating employers. The money is invested in the capital market. So as mentioned by Tom, we have money allocated to government securities, fixed income securities. We have an allocation to equities. We have an allocation to corporate bonds. So all the assets where our team internally perceives from the research we do internally that this is where we're going to get the best return for members. And I think for the last, the Equity Life Assurance Fund has been in existence for the last 3 years. Over the last 3-year period, our returns have been a double digit, average of 11%. So that gives the members the confidence that when you give us your money as a participating employer, then at the end of the year or at the end of the marathon, which is 20, 30, 40 years, then you're guaranteed that you will walk home with your principal amount, capital preserved, plus the accrued interest over the years of investment.
That's not the question.
Yeah. I was about to say.
So how do you make your money?
So how we make money is we invest the fund, the 21 billion fund, and then out of that we say, now we've made a return of say 15% for the year, then we have 1.5 or 2% cost of running the fund. So so our money is a figure over and above what we've made. So if our gross is 15%, then our shareholders will say, for example, our shareholders will take 1%, and then us as a fund, we can take another 1% and distribute the 13% to the members.
Let me get it right. So it is only from the upside, right?
Yes.
At the end of the year, if we contributed 1 million shillings, you are not going to get your 1% from our 1 million shillings. It is from the investment and the return on investment that you bring.
Yes, and over
if you
and
only
above
make
the principal amount.
10 bob, you'll take 1% from the 10 bob above, right?
Exactly.
Is that negotiable, or is it set by the regulator?
So the regulator has not set a specific fee, but I think the industry players among themselves have what is acceptable. So they usually charge
Acceptable to whom?
To both the, because you're looking at it from this cost, you have a team that is doing research, a team that actually does the investment. So you have to look at your costs, and they will more or less average at about 200% basis points for the entire market. Even for the other fund managers, usually they charge about that much.
Higher. Then, if there's extra left after all of this, yes, I've gotten my compound interest as the contributor to the scheme. Your shareholders have gotten their dividends. Yes, you've gotten your 1.5, 2.5% in management fees. Okay.
There's also a question here.
Yeah.
The question is, what of if they make a loss
Yeah.
on a bad year? What
Yeah.
profit are we going to get as?
Eric asked that as well. Yeah, you're only making that. Yeah, great questions.
That's a great question. So what for all DA funds or guaranteed funds, the setup is they usually guarantee a minimum rate of return. So like for our fund, the guarantee rate is 4.5%. So even in a downside, in a very bad year, we have guaranteed you that the minimum that you'll ever get as a member is 4.5%. Even in a year that the fund that we are managing will make a negative return. So what happens for DA funds is usually they will create a reserve in a year. Say for a certain year, the market is performing very well. We make 30% for argument's sake. And that's the year that we make 30%. We say, our actuaries will sit down and say, now for this year to make 30%, let's create a reserve of, say, 10%. So that reserve will be used to even out returns in a year where, for example, you make a negative return. And it has happened in the market before. For several years. I think 2015, there was a negative returns on the market. I think there also 2007, I think during the election, there was some negative returns. So in years such as those, then you need to have the reserve so that you now give the members the smoothing effect on their return. And also so that, because people hate volatility on their statements.
Right. Yeah. Let me actually go to, our row here. Any more questions regarding what...
We also have Eric Kavivia here from Liberty, who is also doing the same thing, making money off our pension. No, let's put it more positively. Growing our pensions, right? Take the mic, Eric. Yeah. You can introduce yourself.
Securing our future.
Securing your future.
Not making money off our
not making money off your pension fund. So basically what you have said is very true. Eric Kavivia, I work with Liberty Life. I'm a financial coach and I play a big role in BDM, that is basically developing our business. Now, what he's saying is very true. I wanted just to recap on what he said about the fund charge. The industry players look at it and say, what is ethical is maybe between 1.5 to 2.5 on the higher side. And that gives you a good base that when we do 15%, then at least you can be able to take home, on the lower side, 12.5. Then the other side of it is this, that our work is to make sure that we secure your financial future. And that financial future is basically now your pension. So we are not here to eat your money. No, if you look at what we make versus what we give to our customers actually are the ones who have the biggest gain. The small charge is basically for the risk, for the research, and basically the cost of managing that fund.
Administrative costs.
Administrative costs.
Let me ask Eric.
Yes.
So, like at Liberty Life, Liberty Assurance, rather, are you a manager, custodian, administrator, or all three? You can't be all three. The regulator has told us that.
You can't be all three for everyone. I think that should be the correct answer, because we do administration, we do fund management, but we are not custodians. Custodians, basically, majority of them are banks.
Right.
Banks are actually the custodians. So we do the two, fund management and administration. So we also have a DA, like he said, like Juma said. We also have a DA, and we have a minimum rate that we give on an annual basis. So as you come in, if let's say, for instance, we tell you we will give you a guaranteed of 7%, there are those good years where we'll perform very well and we will give 18, we'll give 17, but we will always try to make sure, even during those bad years, you have a cushion. And that cushion is what that actually enables you to know that whether things are bad or good, you'll always have something in your pocket.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to understand how many people are eating my money. Because I can imagine the bank is also getting some of this money.
Yeah.
Right? If you are a manager, you're taking some money. If administrator is also taking some money. So at the end, 1.5 is in the end a zote one. What does the regulator have to say about that? Taking a break. We are at the KICC. Come and join us. We are here because the East Africa Pension Conference and Expo is taking place. We brought the mic to the ground to understand why should I think of pension and retirement. Back in a moment.
400.
Mike iko kwa ground leo at KICC. You can come and join us, and it's on throughout the day today. The East Africa Pension Conference and Expo. You have various players in the pensions industry here, from the regulator to the contributors to pensions. That is you. Come and let's engage. We are engaging here now with several people. We have the regulator, represented by Tom Kiptanui, who is the Director of Market Conduct and Industry and Development. And we have Eric Kavivia from Liberty Assurance, James Juma from Equity Life Assurance, and Godwin Simba, who is a council member with the Association of Pension Trustees and Administrators of Kenya. As we were going to the break, Eric had asked you, so we have various people who are handling this money, and each of them has costs of handling my money. So they're taking a percentage of the money that they've helped to grow, the money that we've put into pension. How many of these players are going to eat my money?
The players are very few. And that's what I was telling you, Eric. Our biggest concern should not be how much is being eaten, who is eating, or what is going where. But most important is this. Am I saving to secure my future? Is my money growing? Is it being preserved? And will it still be relevant in the near future based on the returns I'm making compared to the inflation rates that are currently there? That should be our biggest concern. Because if we start counting all these costs, then the other option on the flip side is stay with your money, which
Yep.
I know chances are high you will eat it all. Kweli.
Yep.
But we give you a platform to be able to save, grow, and make sure that your money is making sense and changing lives, even as we invest for you. So,
Eric, allow
yes.
me to interject.
Please
Eric Kavivia, the more people are in the chain, as Eric says, eating my money, the less there is for me.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And as it is right now, and if you were to focus, let's say, for instance, let's just give a simple example of you having an IPP, an individual pension plan. You come to Liberty, you open your individual pension plan, you don't have those many expenses. Because as an individual, you will be put in what you call an umbrella fund. In that umbrella fund, all the costs for all these people is just managed by one. So you will never feel that impact. On the higher side, the only thing you'll ever feel is 1.5. That's it. So as individuals, that's one of the things you need to consider. Remember, in Kenya, we have over 17 million people who are informally employed. And majority of these are not saving for retirement.
Yeah.
That's our target. Those are the people we are really looking for. Because, Eric, you agree with me. You have a brother who is in business. You're fully employed here. You retire at 60, and you go home. You have your few millions. And your brother who has been doing business for the last 30 years has never saved. And one calamity happens to him. Then what happens? It is now your few millions that will be sorting him out. So that's why we're here today, to make sure that the public is aware that you have an opportunity to do something. You need to take charge. You're responsible for your own retirement. Don't expect anybody else to do it for you. You are responsible. And that's why we come in with information. And I'm sure you'll be asking me about what we do literally to make sure that people are more informed about this.
Yeah, there's a comment from Jakalonde on YouTube. It says, they're not mentioning that the fund undergoes actuarial valuation every year, and it's as a result of this that the interest rates are declared, reserve amount plus admin fees are determined. So take us through that, actually. When you come and you claim that you have made this much at the end of the year,
Yes.
and then you claim that mine is this much and yours is this much, what's that process?
There's gross and there's net.
Okay.
And I want to give you the simple example of what you earn. According to NTV, they pay you this much.
Yes.
But what you receive at the end of the day...
According to
is
Vitu kwa
this.
ground.
Vitu kwa ground. Vitu kwa ground, this is the net amount you get.
Yeah.
And that is what Juma was trying to say, that when we factor in the cost, and when you look at, again, at a guaranteed fund, where you also need to reserve something for bad days that are coming. Those projections, those research, the research that we've done, we know there are things that might happen in the next 2-3 years that might affect the returns on that pension. So instead of giving you 30 today, then we give you a -7 tomorrow. Why not give you a 15 today, a 14 the next year, and that other year? And that's what the person is claiming. That indeed it is true. That's a process you go through, and it is always observed by industry players. At the same time, regulator is there. Everything we declare, there's a lot of scrutiny. There's a lot of scrutiny.
There's regulation.
Yes.
Mariam, as we come back to you, Emmanuel Templar says the key thing is airtight regulations, because Kenya has a culture of looting, and you have what's going on in circles because of weak oversight. We haven't heard of looting of pensions apart from, the previously people asking where the money, especially in NSSF, is going and how it's being managed. Recently, we don't actually hear people complaining much about pension at the point of getting their money back. At the point of deductions and remittances, that's why we hear a lot of questions.
True. And we'll speak about that, especially if people have had that experience where payslip in Asema, there was a deduction made, but it's an allegation according to NSSF. But I want to paint a picture for everyone listening, watching, and everyone here. Let's take Mariam, 22. She's cleared, let's actually get her to 24. Finished uni about 2 years ago. Has been looking for a job, no success. But she has like a side gig here. She does marketing gigs, hapa na pale, 15, 20 here, there. It's not ideal, but
She's making some money.
There's something, right? She's thinking of getting a master's, but pale mzazi amefika, uni. Master's is up to you. But everyone is saying, the master's is what will differentiate you in the job market. Go for that master's. That's other pressure. Pia, lifestyle pressure. She wants to look good.
She's a content creator. She must look the part.
Optics.
She wants a new phone to create the content. She wants to look good in the said content. She wants to piga sherehe at least once a month. She wants to see the world. All those are pressures on 15, 20K. that may be coming or may not be coming. Please convince Mariam. Eke pesa retirement. I'm begging. Anyone.
Anza na
Convince
Juma.
Mariam. Tell her.
Juma.
Anze kutoa.
Good question and very, very nice case study. So one, there are two behavioral finance concepts that I like. One is called hyperbolic discounting. The other one is called delayed gratification.
Okay.
So there's a lot of pressure, especially in the social media era. I have to look good, I have to look the part. I mean, lazima nitese. So it is a choice between can I consume today or can I wait and multiply what is available to consume tomorrow? And the best case scenario for hyperbolic discounting is you can, if you're a parent at home, try this today. Ask your kid if, should I give you 1 sweet today or can you wait, I'll give you 2 sweets tomorrow? Just, if you have, say, 3-4 children, you can sample out of those 3-4 children, how many of them will choose the option for 1 sweet today and how many will go for the 2 sweets
tomorrow.
2 sweets tomorrow. So it's a very difficult decision to make for everyone, even for us in the formal setup. Trust you me today, if your employer NTV was to give you an option and say, now this month we'll pay you your salary gross of, will not deduct anything, pay, SHA, pension, NSSF, everything. We'll pay your money and then you on your own go pay it to KRA, go lipa SHA, lipa affordable housing, and then remit your pension to your staff pension. How many of us?
Tupatane Diani tafadhali.
So you see, it's a very difficult decision.
Yeah.
But I mean, with increased awareness and creating the narrative, the conversation around, I mean, try to split. There is, of course, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I want this today, but I can still set aside a small portion. And I mean, it's not so much, because with the power of compounding, if you set aside 10% today, you still have the 90% to piga sherehe, do your nice hair, do your nails, do everything. Just set aside 5-10%. That 5-10%, because it is compounding and you are not touching it on an annual basis, it will give you a very big effect in the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Okay.
Very well said, Juma. Kizungu kubwa.
Kuna
Yo.
mtu mwingine pale.
Kizungu kubwa.
Sorry.
I'd like to hear Simba actually just trying to sell the same, because
Okay.
he was very keen to
on-
convince Mariam.
Okay.
Yeah.
She stands ready to be convinced, and then we'll come to you after. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've practically put at the age of 25, there's, if I'm 25 right now, I'm just thinking I have another maybe 30 years, in to just explore life. But ultimately, you will get to 60 either way. And the first thing that people should understand, there's one concept about money. You take care of me today, I'll take care of you tomorrow. That applies across board in terms of savings. Unfortunately, in Kenya, we have a low savings rate of 12%. But then the biggest concern would be that we're not saying that you need to save for retirement to be rich. No, we are just telling you that at some point in time, you need to avoid being poor in your retirement life. And because retirement is inevitable, it has to come, then you have to start thinking about it right now. There's the issue which Juma has mentioned about delayed gratification. Imagine at your 25, if you are saving 5,000 at 25 every month, because I believe ukienda kupiga sherehe, sometimes you spend more than 5,000 even on a weekend. True or false? Whether it's by collective support or by yourself contributing, you can still do more than 5,000 on a weekend. If you are, at that level, because all of us, we appreciate that we also need to, enjoy life a bit when you're still young. But then if you do 5,000 every month on a disciplined approach, if you do that for 25 years, 5,000 shillings on an average of 8%, you are likely to accumulate more than 8 million Kenyan shillings at 60. Now, if you delay that because you said you have to do masters, you have to work, you have to do ABCD before you get to 40 to think about retirement. And for example, you start at 45 and you start doing 5,000 every month, you'll only accumulate 1.8 million Kenyan shillings. Now, the saddest reality is that our contribution lump sum amount in retirement, for those who are now nearing retirement, they can only replace up to 30% of their own income. For those who are retiring right now, because we do, as a service providers, we process pension benefits for those who are retiring. And in most cases, you see a stark reality. Somebody is earning 100,000 Kenyan shillings, but he goes home with a pension of 20,000 every month. How do you sustain that lifestyle from 100,000 every month to 18,000 shillings per month? So it means you have to work hard to equalize your lifestyle before and after retirement. The other concept that we had was, I was hearing about whether my money will be safe or not. The issue is that, are you saving fast? We have to start from there. And is your money growing? The industry has statistics. You can see which provider is doing a higher return, a higher interest rate to your account. There are nowadays technology that you can access all your pension in one platform. If you look at the industry, most service providers have an app. You can track your benefits, and if it's growing, you can tell. If it's not, then the other providers you can easily switch, because there is the ability to be able to have portability on those funds. So yes, you would do all those things, but the question is, ultimately, in retirement, do you have something to take care of you? Let me just finalize with one last statistics, that in retirement, for those who are retiring, out of the small pot that we discussed, that the replacement is around 32%, 60% goes towards medical needs in retirement. That's stark reality. Why? Because in retirement, that's when perhaps you are not actively involved in employment, but also your body is not as active. So medical issues start rising up. Most retirees currently spend up to 60% dealing with medical issues in retirement. So you still have less income for consumption, but more of it is going to medical. So if you don't start early to look at your medical needs, your saving needs in retirement, then that becomes a challenge. There's this other bit also that we need to really engage further, because in retirement, for all men who are saving for retirement currently, for those men who are in eligible employment rate at the moment, 23% are saving. For women, 12% are saving for retirement. If you look at eligible women above 18, 12% are saving. For men, 23%. Women have a tendency to live longer in retirement. Isn't that true? I think men go very fast. I don't know why. But ideally, that is the reality. The life expectancy in retirement is at 67. So you retire at 60, and chances are that you have an average of 7 years going by the current life expectancy rate. But in 2050, the same will move from 67 years to around 75 years. So meaning you have a legroom of 15 years that you need to be funded. So the question is, who will fund for you at that point in time? Thank you.
Those are really good numbers. Eye-opening numbers. Yes, ndizo hizo. There's the gentleman at the back who also wanted to speak on convincing Mariam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, great. And I wanted to chime into the discussion. I think the gentleman had actually tried to paint the compounding effect.
Yes.
My name is Jack Maro. I head retirement benefits at Sanlam Life, and I'm very passionate about this conversation.
Yeah.
And your question, actually to answer you, the hashtag for this session is Tujipange Mapema. And for the young guys, they know Mapema ni best. It's we start it right now, and that's where the numbers lie. Now, as the gentleman was speaking, I was doing quick math using a wealth calculator that is in a platform that we recently launched. And you said there's a young person, they are aged, say, 25, they have their needs, they are thinking of the present needs. Where do they get this urge to save? Now, if you ask most of them, have you ever shikad $1 million in your hands? They'll say, hey, by the way, I've never. I have a lot of money, but I've never seen $1 million somewhere in my account. And the power of compounding actually gives you that $1 million. So if you put 2 Gs, 2,000 shillings, every month, you're aged 25. If it's growing at a conservative interest rate of, say, 8%, you'd have 4.6 million at 60. Now, if it was growing at 10%, which is the average, industry average for the last 10 years. If you see where participants play, they're giving a return of roughly 9-10%. So at 10%, that 2 Gs would be 7.8 million. And at 12%, it would be 9.6. Now, the beauty about starting with investing or saving 2,000, it gives you a saving culture. People normally say, I need to become wealthy to start saving. But it's on the reverse. You actually save and invest to become wealthy. So the sooner the young people, those in the informal sector, tap into this conversation, the better. And the pension landscape or the pension products are actually framed in a way that you're not mandated to contribute monthly. It is as and when you get income. So I have 2,000 today, I can save. I get 5,000 tomorrow, I can save. And other statistics that are worth noting is people are living way longer post-retirement. So imagine you retire at 60 and you have 30 more years after work. So what is actually going to sustain you for those 30 years? So the sooner we begin, the better. So ni sasa hivi na ni sasa hivi. Mapema ndio best, right?
Mapema ndio best.
I like that. I want to...
A question.
Sorry, Kiptanui also
there's a
wanted
question.
to...
There's a question.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, my question is also, by e-stocks, I can see in the Crown or in the villages, people are not aware about civic education on savings. So we are requesting if there is a department who can do civic education to the country or to the people for saving, the better. But for now, a lot of ignorance is much in the ground.
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of lack of awareness and information. I want to just ask and go back to the gentleman from Sanlam. You said it's not a requirement that I make my pension contributions on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, half-yearly basis. I can make a contribution today, nikipata pesa after 6 months, naweza weka, nikipata pesa kesho, naweza weka. Just say that again.
Yes. And thank you for that, Eric Lassif.
You have the mic, huh?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for that. And that's true. And that's the flexibility that is actually required in the market. We are moving from a space that was historically driven by contributions, say, from the employer that were coming every month. And people are conditioned to think, if I'm contributing towards a pension, it needs to be a monthly activity. Now, we have very many flexible solutions. Sanlam has actually launched Akiba Plus, a platform that actually allows anyone to self-onboard from the comfort of their homes. It can be online or via USSD, star 723 hash. Once you self-onboard, contribute from as little as 100 bob. And then you don't need to contribute this every 5th of the month. If I get $1 million, I can put in $1 million. If I get 10,000, I can put in 10,000. So the catch is, the more I save, the more my pot will grow. The less I save, the less then I will have as and when I want to access these funds. But the rigidity that was there before, and that rigidity is actually what made people in the informal sector think that, you know what, this pension is for the salaried. This pension thing, ni kama uko na pesa. But the narrative is completely different. You start now, you start small, grow the saving culture and saving habit, and then going forward, you just watch your money grow. And the beauty, before I give back the mic, is such platforms like Akiba Plus give you dashboards that are showing you real time. They are giving you visual guides as how much your money is growing. And we have a saving, or rather a population that is geared towards sight. I want to see. I want to save right now and log in and see that my money has reflected, and next month in the statement, there is some growth. So that's where we are headed, and it's unless we have such conversations that will actually show the population that, I mean, pension is actually for everyone and not for the employed or salaried people.
I like that. Plus, it's a more positive take, because usually the things that you can view via a dashboard are very volatile investments. They give you heart palpitations, you know. So it's good when you just see something stable. No, to nenda hivi, sindio. We're taking a very short break, but we'll be right back. We're saying, why should you save for retirement? You probably know the why, but let's just give you a good reminder. Hashtag is Fixing the Nation NTV. We'll be back after this.
There's a question from Victor Muthoka who says, how can someone in their 20s structure their investment portfolio to balance, just like Mariam you're telling us, both short-term financial goals and long-term retirement security? It's the same question that you asked earlier, right. But now the question is how? Now, practically, how? And Eric.
What's the fix in short?
Yeah. I have a quick fix.
This person has this, and they have the 20K.
Yeah.
Hii 20K, unataka aweke ngapi? Usimwambie weke 10.
Now, the question is not how much you need to put aside. Yeah. The question should be, how much do I need by the time I retire? Now, at Liberty Life, we have a program we call Mind My Money. Now, Mind My Money is a financial literacy program that helps you to shape your mindset concerning money. It has 6 pillars, and the 6 pillars is budgeting, and I'm sure we'll be able to talk about all this. But I just wanted to give a quick fix to Mariam, who's 24, 25. They've started working, or they are doing their own gigs. And now this is the time to start thinking, and that's what we are doing here today. Start thinking of planning for your future in advance. Now, this is a question I'll ask. I wanted Mariam, you open your karaka too. Ask your question, just put in a figure. Okay. Then we proceed together.
All right.
Now,
hold on. Not nifungue calculator.
Calculator.
Nimefungua.
Now, kuna calculator.
Nimefungua calculator.
Now, tell me, if today, after this show, as you step down, it's the last day of you ever working, how much would you want to continue earning per month? Put in that figure.
As a 24-year-old.
Today.
Wow.
Sahau miaka. Today.
Aye.
Just put in the figure.
If you are to retire today.
Today is your last day to work. Be it because of retirement of age, be it because of opportunities. Let's work with today is your last day to retire. As you come out of this place, NTV actually have organized for something. Eric is organizing a surprise cake for you and telling you, bye, see you. How much
I can be ambitious with this.
The way you want.
Aye.
The shocker will be on you at the end. So you have that figure? Now, assuming you are in control of when you will retire, in how long, now you can give me the answer, in how long do you want to retire?
Let me go with our average of, let me add 30, let's say in 30 years.
From today in 30 years. Now, that figure that you have there, assuming that today you are to retire, you'd be very comfortable with that amount per month. That's okay. Now, when you look at time value for money and everything, now I want you to multiply that figure by 3.5. That's 3.5 peke yake.
By 3.5.
That figure, that original figure that you had put in.
Okay.
Then now multiply it by 110.
By 110. Okay.
So the figure that you have, I know. And I don't want you to tell me the figure. That is what you should have in 30 years. For you to be able to withdraw that amount. Now, you tell me, when we talk about priorities in life, what should be of prominence to you? Is it your current expenses, or the fact that I can be able to take care of my current expenses, and I also need to prioritize the biggest bill I'll ever have in my life, which is retirement? Nothing else will ever come close.
But Eric, what are these 110 things that you are calculating?
Izo numbers metoka.
That's why I said it's a quick fix, and we'll continue having this discussion. I will give you the answer.
Okay.
It's as simple as this. Number 1, I'm looking at inflation. Number 2, I'm looking at time value for money. And number 3, I'm looking at how much would you be having, assuming you have a tank full of water, and you want to be opening a tap at the bottom there and being able to get a cup or whatever drum, jug, per day or per month. How much would sustain you? That's the first figure I asked you.
Okay.
Then now to know the size of the tank, now you have the size of the tank, to know the amount of water to put in, be it through rain, be it through you conserving water, whatever it is that you will do. Now you have a figure. If you can dare tell us the figure, to scare.
No. Now those are many zeros.
There are many
a lot
zeros
more.
there.
A lot more zeros.
Calculator ikutoshea.
Now that tells you when it comes to priority.
Yeah.
And that's why my heart bleeds every day because of millennials. We are the worst when it comes to saving for retirement. We focus more on what the now. we have the best excuses towards why we should not even be able to save. Actually, they give us as reasons, but to them they very well know their excuses. And that's what we try to do to eliminate at Liberty Life. We have a financial literacy program called Mind My Money. And by the time you go through it, my friend, you'll be a totally different person. And now you are more enlightened. And that's what you are doing to help people down there to just make sure that they understand their role that they need to play. They are taking charge and they know who to partner with so they can be able to achieve that big figure.
Let me ask you.
It has a lot of zeros, guys.
Because of those zeros,
Yes.
the answer that you often get is the kind of shock that we've seen from Mariam, right?
Yes.
So that already sounds like it's already discouraging. Like, I forget this retirement thing, but tutadil nayo huko mbele. So how do you then actually now make Mariam see, okay, it is not insurmountable?
Now, that's where we start the journey. By shocking you, then we now tell you this is what we need to do, and the step by step. Like my colleague was saying here, be it 1,000, be it 2,000, be it regular or irregular, start the journey. It doesn't matter how much you start with. As long as you know where you're going, I can tell you for sure we will always figure it out with you. And that's why there are quite a number of platforms that allow us to do all these things. Then the other thing, to just help you reduce that figure, if you're somebody who's employed, we normally now come back and calculate. If you are to continue working with the same employer for all those 30 years, we reduce that figure from that. Then we do other calculations, and eventually we now see the gap. It is the gap that now becomes my focus. And that gap could be 2,000, could be 1,000, could be 500, could be 1,000,000, could be whatever figure. Now the key thing is, are we going to stay focused and on course to make sure that we achieve
plug that gap?
Exactly. So that's what we do with Mind My Money.
All right.
Tom, regulator.
Yeah?
The regulator here.
Yes.
You know, just like you've heard, people don't have this awareness. These guys in the market are using shock therapy to create awareness. Is there?
Mariam 24 needs a water break after seeing those numbers.
Is there a structured platform or program that you run as a regulator with the industry stakeholders to actually increase awareness? Wacha ile ya kutuambia ati you are working with KICD. You told us that, and it's a good one, to go to schools. That will come. But currently, what are you doing to address Mariam 24?
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, colleagues in the sector, because this is really quite enlightening, and the discussion is good, resonating very well with what we are trying to do for us to be able to ensure that the discussion is enriched on how well we can be able to bring more people to save towards retirement, and ultimately that informs how well we plan towards retirement. Now, the conversation about how do we go about it? 25 years down the line, and the statistics is what actually we've shared. You know, we started around 13% in the year 2000. We are now at 26%. I said in the morning we want to get to 34% by 2029. It is within our strategy that, one, we have actually rolled out the National Retirement Benefits Policy, which is one of its own, because in this country for a long time we didn't have. And within that particular policy, it has come up with strategies that we need to ensure that coverage has actually been enhanced. One is, of course, the issue of outreach, as I said earlier on. Many Kenyans have actually not known that there are avenues for which they can be able to save towards retirement. And one thing they will always ask is it safe? And that is where the regulator comes in to actually go out and tell them, as you save towards retirement, your money will always be safe. And giving them the platforms that are available. Working with the stakeholders in the sector, where they all have these particular platforms, you know, my colleagues here have talked about the programs that they run. These are programs that now has given these Kenyans the opportunity, be it the individual pension plans, where you don't need, as it has been said, to really have regular income. Whatever you get at that point of time, then we can really be able to make sure that you have that particular platform. The other area is, of course, the incentives that come through. And this was alluded earlier on. We need to make sure that Kenyans understand that government has gone out of its way, of course, with a lot of lobbying, with also a lot of discussion on how we need to make sure that Kenyans actually appreciate and take advantage of this. And this is on the tax advantages that have come through. This is something that we've worked on with the various stakeholders for a long time to actually say if you put in your money, then it actually relieves you on the tax that is payable to the government, giving you more pots in as far as what you have for retirement. So apart from sensitization and coverage, they are also intensive coming in terms of the financial area. What is it that you get back? The other area that we are looking into, which comes in the National Retirement Benefits Policy, and especially for the young people, as we've discussed, how can they be able to leverage on their savings for them to be able to get something to keep them going? And this is where we are coming up with products, bundle products, where you are saying apart from saving, you throw in the issue of where you can be able to get housing. You can also be able to make your short-term needs, the one you were talking about, Mariam, about going back to school. If that particular product has been bundled, and say within this particular savings, you can have certain amounts within a certain period of time that you can be able to utilize to meet your needs. That in itself then would bring more people to come on board because they know they are safe. And the next thing is when it grows, then that particular fund you can be able to utilize for other users. I know we are competing with many other areas in terms of really money going into savings. And that is why we have to think outside and say, how do we bring people to save towards retirement, but at the same time being able to meet their short-term needs? This is an area that has actually come in, and within the policy we are looking into as we also look at how the law can be able to accommodate this going forward. So yes, it's a challenge that we have, but there are interventions that we are actually putting in place. And I must say that working closely with the various service providers has really helped us a lot in terms of making sure that as we go out, because we don't ourselves register, we give the message, but we carry along the liberty of this world, the equity of this world, where now we give them an opportunity. When the message has gone in, then they can now be able to follow in and save, ask people to save towards retirement. Thank you.
Mariam, do you think, it should be mandatory that all licensed players in the retirement sector should have a program on outreach and awareness? Because I think sometimes these guys are lazy.
To be quite honest, someone needs to do the educating, right? So it has to, and it is in also their best interest to do the educating from the curriculum point of view, like Kiptanui has said, but all the way through. So I think it should be mandatory, to be quite honest. The information gap is clearly wide.
Huge.
How to plug it will take a lot of time. Kuna maswali hapo nyuma. Okay. Question and then comment. I see. You're on the same. Okay, sawa.
I'll comment on the same.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's take it and then we'll go into the question.
Okay, thanks. So on financial literacy, I think that's a really big burden that at Sanlam we actually have, because there are products. Our competitors in the market are dashing out products every day. So it has moved from an access problem to actually an awareness problem. And at community level, what we are trying to do is meet people where they are. You know, you'd be having good products, but you're seated at Sanlam Tower comfortably, and as Eric Latif has said, lazy, not really pushing the message out there. But why not meet these people at the churches, at the chamas, as the circles, at the border organizations, and as we meet them there
At the KICC.
At the KICC
Yes.
for the conference and convention. And as we meet them there, let's explain this pension in a very palatable way. Remove all the jargon. And then, as we leverage also on social media, you know, when we think social media, we think Gen Z, so we think it is Instagram, TikTok, and the likes. But we are forgetting simple channels like WhatsApp that really meet the informal sector. I've had, you know, in the corporate sector, you'll have people doing Teams calls and Zoom calls. But there are WhatsApp calls where you put people in a WhatsApp call and you're able to actually communicate to them. And to the employers, let's embed the how do I put it, retirement benefit conversation as part of staff wellness. Let's have retirement benefit clinics where An employer just allows professionals in the space to come in and just have a conversation on the early joiners, taken through financial planning, and all those early retirees, taken through sessions even to prepare them for social capital and how their future will look like. So it's a conversation that all players need to be deliberate, and from the regulator, they are doing an excellent job in even partnering with NTV on such forums. But let's take these conversations to TVET schools. We saw the tax incentives that came in, how they've pushed products like the post-retirement medical fund. It's a conversation that the industry was not talking about, yet this is a very brilliant product that actually takes care of your medical needs after retirement. So if all parties are actually involved and we make the population aware of what actually would be benefiting them, then would have a very financially literate population. Mm-hmm. So all participants, all viewers, get in touch with someone and take this retirement benefit conversation further. Thanks.
Thank you. I know, yes, you also had a question. We're back on Fixing the Nation on NTV, on Nation FM, on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere with a broadcast or internet signal. Apologies if we had to cut the conversation short a little bit, just abruptly, but we're back, of course, at the KICC. We are discussing matters retirement, and the fact of the matter is we must save for retirement. We know the why as we ask the question. It's just we need to drill it into one another and, of course, make sure that we're planning for our futures regardless of age, regardless of financial status at the time. But let's get into audience questions as well. You can ask yours across our YouTube streams and Facebook and Instagram as well, and we will, of course, have them addressed in just a minute. But we have the gentleman with the microphone. Alikuwa na swali pia. Please ask your question and let us know who you are.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Frederick Odongo, a trustee from one of the schemes here in Kenya. Okay, the fundamental questions most members are asking, and it goes to Juma and Eric just to demystify, because it is also tied to the saving culture when it comes to additional voluntary contribution. Mm-hmm. So the question is, which is the best approach? Because you've talked of the smoothing approach, and we also have the market-based approach, whereby, let's say at the end of the year, we declare all that we have invested, or the fund managers have given us. But Juma has told us that the smoothing approach is also the best way. So which is the best for all members so that it also encourages the savings culture across the country? Thank you.
Okay, I can start.
Mm-hmm.
So you have both ends of the world and you can actually be able to enjoy. As an employee and as a trustee, I'm sure you're representing employees.
Sorry, Eric, before you continue, maybe just context for us who may not understand the lingo of smoothing.
Oh, good. I'm coming to that. Now, smoothing is what Juma was trying to explain. Mm-hmm. That there's a year we will get 15%, there's a year we will get 20%, but we will try to conserve or reserve part of the return so that during the times when things are low, we make sure that at least you have a level, the shocks are not as many. It's not 15, then 1, then 18, then 2. Now, at least let's level it at 10 or 12, or an average that makes sense to you. That's what we are talking about. But at the same time, there's what we call segregated funds, which can give you very good returns, and you have the opportunity to choose where your money can be invested. Segregated basically means that there are different options, and I can choose this or this based on my appetite, my risk appetite. So I have the opportunity to choose either the aggressive fund, which is performing very well right now in the market. I have the opportunity to choose either a balanced fund or even the cash fund, based on what I want. So for additional voluntary contributions, I always urge people to open a separate IPP account, that is an individual pension plan, separate from your employer, so that you can play around with your money and shorten the period of getting that shocking amount. You can actually shorten the period by either 2 or 3 years by you exposing your money to different types of investments. Okay. So that would be my take. There's no one best. that there's not one that is better than the other, but when you're locked with an employer, you can stick with that one, but with your additional voluntary contributions, you can be able to do that segregated fund. Maybe June?
So, yeah, it's a balanced portfolio
It's
almost.
a balanced portfolio,
Yeah,
exactly.
so some with a low risk appetite and others,
With high
hoping
risk.
for the best.
Hoping for the best. And that's what investments are.
Yes.
Investments are not savings. Savings is basically accumulation and preservation, while investment is putting in money with the hope that it will grow. That fact of hope it will grow,
Yeah.
it can also go
The other way.
go down. Yeah.
That's fair. Another question, Eric, or the gentleman behind you? Yeah.
No, I am Willie Sambo.
Yes.
Now, my question is, this individual pension plan, is it possible for especially non-employees people in Kenya?
Individual pension plans,
Yes.
are they possible for non-employees?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So the simple answer is yes, it is open to everyone. I remember in the first session, when Kiptum was talking, and he said it's mandatory even for you as a house help in your house to make sure that you contribute something towards their retirement fund.
Yeah.
You can actually be able to do that. Over and above the NSSF, you can actually be able to do that. Individual pension plans are quite a number, and that's why we are here. We're asking Kenyans, please come, let's interact, let's have a one-on-one, and I'm sure you will leave here with something. You won't leave here the same person you are.
Yes.
I like that we are having the conversation around the possibilities. Now, the other question is how to balance a pension fund scheme with your other retirement plans, because for a lot of people, it's not the only thing, right? I'm still thinking, I have my farm that, these flats I've been putting up for 10 years, but these are also part of my retirement plan. So how do you...
Insurance.
Yes, insurance as well. Yes, all of those. Fair. How do I balance all of those things as far as retirement planning is concerned? I'll start with Kiptanui because you're the Retirement Benefits Authority. Do you just play actually in the pension market, or do these other things fall into any of your regulatory realm? And then how do you balance all of them as far as thinking of retirement?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mariam. Yes, the issue of balancing is quite critical. As I said earlier on, of course, the source of income or the amounts of money that you have may not really be enough. But of course, you go out to prioritize and see what is it that you need. And that's why I went on to talk about the bundling of the products that we are looking at, so that you can be able to balance the portfolio, to see ways in which you can now be able to say, I can put in so much amount in housing, because it's a it's a need at retirement. And if as a retiree you retire, if you don't have a house, then whatever you've actually earned may actually be taken on. The other item is actually the issue of post-retirement medical fund, the issue of health. It's very critical. So within this bundling, then you can be able to apportion and see ways in which you can now be able to say, my future is secure. What is critical for us, and this is something that we have fought for a long, long time, is how well can you be able to benefit from the tax exemption that comes through. And this is an area that I want to encourage all of us. We are talking about additional voluntary contributions. There is a window now that we are saying, before it was up to 20,000 shillings that you can put in. Now you can go up to 30,000 shillings. It is actually advantageous if you look at other investments where you probably be required to pay tax, withholding tax at the end of the year. In pension, for as long as you leave it to the period that has been provided for up to the age of 50 or the age of retirement, or you've been in a scheme for 20 years, then you can now be able to benefit in entirety in as far as those funds tax-free. Again, this is now where you look at it and say, if I was going to invest in property, the long horizon in as far as the returns that are coming out, vis-a-vis what I also need to pay for taxes, vis-a-vis putting money in your pension scheme. And this is where now education and simulation needs to come in. Because most of the Kenyans actually have gone into investments that at the end of it all, you're actually putting in more money to even service that particular investment. It's a good thing, yes, but you don't really take into consideration how much money do I use to sustain. I know Kenyans like to go into property, land, and all that, but at times we don't take time to look at it and say, What is it that will actually give me in return? And we are saying now in the pension arrangement, it's actually safe, and more importantly, you actually benefit in those small things that make a difference at the age of retirement. Remember, we want the replacement rate. We've talked about 70%. This can only be achieved if you structure your portfolio on the various investments, because you are not only saying it's pension alone. There's how much will it contribute towards your time. And because we are talking about retirement planning, let me also throw in and say, yes, as RBA, we carry out a lot of retirement planning to prepare our retirees towards retirement, telling them of areas that they not need to go if you had not already gone into at the time you retire.
Okay.
An example that we gave yesterday, everybody would probably want and have a desire to live. You have a dream to live in this very good house. But if by the time you retire, you have not achieved that, then it might be an area that you may not need to go using your retirement benefits. You go to the villages and you see people have built houses. It's not occupied, they are not completed. And these actually are being used by retirement benefits, where you should be looking at liquidity to sustain you at retirement. You have a house, you've actually gone up to the lintel, you cannot be able to complete, and all your benefits have gone into. So these are the areas that we are saying.
Landlord sasa Nairobi na nimeretire. And I have land.
I'm going there. So if you already have not started, improve on what you have. I mean, if you go to the village and you want a 5-bedroom, house, which is actually have all these things, and at the time you retire, you already have that small house. The best thing is to improve, but not to use all your benefits. But what we are saying, and that's why we are coming out with bundling of products, housing is very critical. And I like it the government has come forward to say we can now be able to benefit from these housing projects that are coming in. You can now be able to inbuild in your savings, so that by the time you retire, you have a roof over your head, you are not paying rent. So this is a critical area we tell our retirees. Of course, areas, and we say liquidity, health, and of course, retiring your debts before you retire. These are areas that really always would hit you very hard when you retire.
Don't use your money to go and start a new construction.
That's right.
Don't use your
benefits, pension benefits, don't go. Not unless you have safeguards to another area to give you liquidity to sustain you.
Okay.
Eric, do you see a challenge with communicating that?
There's a big challenge, but it makes sense if you think about it. Because here you are, you no longer have your other income. You're only having now your pension as your replacement of your income. And it's finite. If you're going to start a construction for a 7-bedroom mansion befitting your status, of your last known status, Kitaumana, it makes sense if you communicate it that way. But Kiptanui, the government has a retirement age. Right?
Yes.
What is that age?
The age in public service, before it was not given, but now it's in law, it's 60 years. Of course, if you're living with disability, it goes to 65. Give you at least a little bit of 5 years for you to be able to go in. And so, this is something that is driven, of course, to allow people to accumulate more. I know the conversation was why move from 55 to 60. We know Kenyans are becoming even more productive at that age, but it's also to allow opportunities for others to come on board. And I know you are talking about then, if you're at the age of 60, what happens if you're retiring? Of course, your benefits will be paid to you at that stage.
Okay.
Depending on how you want it to be done, there are different types of schemes. There are those who will give you a lump sum in the entirety, and again, that's a very risky areas, but with these financial advisors, they can be able to assist so that you can have an income that comes in monthly or periodically to assist you at retirement.
If I take an insurance, a retirement product with any of these guys, Liberty, Equity, Sanlam, and the others who are here, and I decide I want to retire at 50, can I access my money? Or will they tell me, unajua sasa sheria imesema tungoje another 10 years?
Yes, that's a good point. Yes, umeshinda jackpot, you want to, then you have no reason to take that money. Hiyo jackpot kula kwanza, wachana na hii iendelee kuzalisha. Yes, but it's a good point, Eric. Yes, different schemes have different retirement ages. But of course, 50 years is recognized as early retirement, which means at that age, and for you to be able to benefit 100% with the tax exemptions that have been provided. At the age of 50, you can actually be able to access your money. If you go before the age of 50, as it stands now, the law allows you to access up to 50%, and the 50% you leave it to come and access at the age of 50 or thereabout. And this is just but to create some safeguard for you, just in case you make a mistake, because you may want to access at the age of 40, go into that investment, it backfires, then you still have something to fall on.
Okay.
And the proposal that are coming from the participation that we have done is people are even saying we may need to consider to lock in more, allow people to just access up to 30%, and 70% should actually be left to assist you. Because ultimately, and the reason why you're actually contributing this money is to secure retirement for you.
Which I should decide.
Which you decide, yes.
When my retirement should be.
Yes.
Should not be for anyone to come and tell me my retirement is 65. No.
You see,
I want to retire at 30.
You see, Eric, I know it's a good thing to talk about that. But remember, if you are with an employer who is also giving you something in return, they want to see you have a dignified life in retirement. They have given you something on top of what you already have been paid. And the reason is to secure you in retirement. It also takes an issue of image. I'm imagining, Eric, if you retire at NTV, and tomorrow we see Eric not doing very well, we ask ourselves, and it actually reflects a lot on NTV. So the employer puts in some money to ensure that tomorrow when we see Eric out there, we say he was well prepared. And it's for the reason that government has said, let's not take all this money.
Okay.
The law has been put in place. If we allow ourselves, and I think my brother said there, today if you throw in and say, we give you, you go back and say, we give you everything 100%. I'm sure all of us here may not actually put in money in the scheme.
That's true.
So it's an issue of also trying to balance the two and ensure that we don't depend on our children, we don't depend on government when we retire.
You can answer this other one, and then you can also maybe pass it to the players in the sector. What is happening to Mariam's money? She started saving at 24, right? By the time she's 28 into 35, she's still contributing. Can she benefit from the money that's already there, that's sitting there as it's growing? Can she use it for any other
Now is a
benefits?
secure loan, na pension.
Then it's quite a mortgage.
Yes, these are the innovative avenues that we are taking. Currently, yes, you will not be able to do that because that money is actually just taken in to secure your retirement. But we are alive and responding to the changing environment. And of course, we are not insulated in terms of really also making sure that as we preach this gospel about saving towards retirement, we should be alive of other challenges that come. And that's why I talked about in the National Retirement Benefits Policy, we have now an arrangement where we are exploring bundling of benefits so that as you join in, as Mariam joined in, she can now be able to apportion those funds to different portfolios. Should you have short-term needs, then you can be able to borrow, as you said, from your money. So the most important thing is accumulate first. Put in, because you cannot borrow what you don't have. But it's already within the requirements that as soon as you've done it, maybe for a certain period of time, then you can now start borrowing and service just like any other loan. So these are the changes that we are actually looking into, and because it's already in policy, it will inform the legislation that is coming soon so that we allow people to be able to utilize their funds, not just for retirement, but for other things. Countries like Singapore have really explored that. Housing you have as part and parcel of your contributions. You can be able to show to borrow to meet short term. So, and this has really helped in terms of increasing coverage for people to be able to come into the arena. So we are looking at the financial products. How can we package it so that we can be able to assist our contributors?
Okay.
Thank you.
There was also a question here from the gentleman in black. Please tell us your name and then your question.
My name's Crispin Otila Alila, a trustee. What is the position of the RBA medical scheme?
I think it's you to speak to that, Kiptanui.
Yes, I'm sure my trustee here, and thank you for taking good care of the scheme. These are the kind of people we work very closely. I think he's talking about the post-retirement medical fund, which was introduced. It's really something, as it has been said, an innovation that came in. We know primarily government is supposed to take care of retirees when they retire. But for you to be able to continue to access the kind of care that you enjoyed when you are working, when your employer was taking good care of you, then we introduce this as a voluntary arrangement where you can have additional voluntary contributions to your scheme on top of the contributions they are putting in, so that you can be able to secure a medical fund when you retire. It is regulated by ourselves, so it is safe. It is invested by the Board of Trustees to ensure there is growth. And at a time when you retire, and then you can be able to have options of where you want to go into. I need to put in that we also got favor in actually the tax allowable limits that you can be able to put in. The law allows you up to 15,000 shillings every month if you're putting money into a post-retirement medical fund. So I want to encourage trustees and all of us in pension schemes that if you put in something small, and it has been talked about the issue of compounding. If you look at somebody who has just joined employment, if you put 300 shillings or 500 shillings, by the time you retire, with investment, that amount of money will have actually grown to assist you on medical issues when you retire, so that you don't need to touch your benefits. You will have a separate fund to take care of that.
Okay. There's a question here coming from YouTube. Janet Mawio. Has the Pension Authority and these service providers considered disseminating information through counties and grassroots civil society organizations? So I think that's open to all the players in the room. What role do actually county governments play? I know NSSF is government, but what role do counties play in this, in preparing us for retirement? And of course, she's also mentioned grassroots civil society. Because Kiptanui, you've answered quite a few back to back. Let me start with Juma, and then we'll come back to the other players, to Godwin, to Eric, of course, and then to you, Kiptanui, as well, and Mara.
Thank you. I think that's a very good question in terms of our partnerships with not just government and counties, but just going down to where the people are. So what we have done as Equity is one of the biggest things we've done is we partnered with local community, because we have a distribution network of 319 branches across the regions within where we are. So all the branches are pushing these products at the branch level within the ecosystem where they are. The other one is we've also partnered, this year we partnered with the Kenya Music Festival to basically take the information to our customers of tomorrow, not the current customers. So basically what we did is we partnered with the music festival. So as the children perform their art, as they shake whatever, there's a message they are trying to communicate in around planning for retirement, this financial security in the future. So because this...
So let me get this straight. It's in the themes of like the
songs. Yes, in the themes
music.
of exactly what they are performing.
Allah?
Yes.
Technologia. Yeah. Lovely. Okay, go on.
Yeah, so that was very big this year, and we are looking at it. This kid is 10 years today. That is our customer in the next 10 years. And by the time they reach that age, they're already aware of the message. They're already aware of what they need to do from starting their journey towards financial security.
I quite like that. Godwin? That idea of music festival. Who would have thought?
Beautiful. Thank you very much, and quite engaging conversations. I think from where we sit, from the association, there's quite a lot that has happened or gone into financial literacy, because that is one of the challenges we have in the retirement benefit sector. RBA, Retirement Benefits Authority, has actually mandated the pension funds that are already existing in the market to actually budget for financial literacy programs for those who are saving for retirement. And annually they have costs or budgets for member education and also for pre-retirement. Back to the way we could really structure this pretty well, other than just having multi-sectorial approach where RBA itself is pushing for financial literacy, also Association of Pension Trustees and Administrators, the players itself push for financial literacy engagements. On the side as well, the Executive Director for Finet Trust, we do capacity building in the industry. We train more than 15,000 members every year, 3,000 trustees, and we are piloting one of the African largest financial literacy platform called Findemi, FINNDEMI, where we're looking at having around 5 million people engaging on different conversations around retirement. So there's a lot that is happening in the practice. But to underscore the discussions of today and why we really need to have forward-looking discussions is that at this point in time as a country, we should not be discussing about how to save for retirement and where to save for retirement. I think where we need to be as a country is how much have we saved? Is the amount that we have in the country adequate to sustain the population that we have? If you look at the most developed economies, and because I heard the president the other day, citing examples of Singapore and other countries that have really, they were where we were in 1960. And now they've moved very far. And one of the pillars that was driving conversation of these countries is social security. Singapore, to be precise, anchored social security in 3 forms. One is on housing. First of all, is you contribute for retirement, but you need to blend with the health and also housing as one. And then now, when they had built a robust saving culture within those countries, they moved now to the issues of incorporating emergency savings within the framework of pension. And that solves all the problems that we've had. But in Kenya, I think we still have a long way because we have uncoordinated systems. So you do have NSSF trying to, mobilize savings. We have occupational schemes on this side. We have individual pension plans. And we also have now the health side. We do have the SHIF at the moment. We do also have the Ministry of Health. So there's so much uncoordinated systems. But for developed economies, they've gone into one framework, which means one fund but has different benefits that communicates to a single member and single individual. So that is where we need to be in the future so that we're able to compel by ensuring that everybody is mandated to save. It's not a question of voluntary. It should be mandated. And in countries like Australia, what they have done is that they have put in place systems like that even if in the informal sector, the employer who is employing you at that point has to contribute for you a certain portion. So it's not a voluntary issue. But back to where we are in the country at the moment, I think there is so much to be done in terms of awareness first, because we need to see the importance of saving. Even if we know it, but we need to be reminded. Number 2, we need to move to the issue of ensuring that there is proper systems that are very transparent to be able to boost the trust that is in the room. I could hear people saying, so is my money saved, for example? Can I be able to get that money when I retire? But that is now the discussion that we need to structure within the current context. We are pushing for those reforms as the Association for Pension Trustees and Administrators. Every year we submit proposals to Retirement Benefits Authority for consideration by the National Treasury, and I do believe that we will get there perhaps in the next 20, 30 years to have a solid social security structure. Thank you.
But regulator tamaliza.
Yes. The gap. I like the way the conversation has moved from why I should save to now we know how and when we should actually be able to start this. So at Liberty Life, what we have done, to just bridge that gap, because to build on that trust, we need people to be aware. I had mentioned earlier we have a program called Mind My Money, and it has 6 pillars. Very first and foremost, we talk about budgeting. How do you plan for your money? Do you know how to prioritize your expenses for now and tomorrow? The number 2, we talk about incomes, and there's something you're alluding to. How do I make sure that I have enough income? So first thing we talk about is your earned income. This thing that you do today is very important. So that's where you earn your income. Then how do you convert your earned income to portfolio income? So this is where now you have different types of investments, including housing and all those other things that you require in life. Then eventually we convert that portfolio into passive income. Now, passive income is the ultimate for everyone here, because immediately your passive income overtakes your current active income, then you should retire. If it comes at 45, please move away, allow akina Miriam Wayang waingie. Because that's the best time for us to be walking away. You see, nowadays, if you tell a 50 or a 55-year-old, you just mentioned the word pension, the next thing that comes to mind is tension.
Yeah.
Because all of us are scared. Like, hiyo kitu sitaje. You see HR and you're like, Riswa, Peter. Hana ubaya. They were just saying hi. And they are already talking to RBA and they're organizing a conference. Ni salamu tu. They're organizing a conference for pre-retirement and you could be part of it. And the next thing we talk about is debt and debt management. When do we get into debt? When do we avoid debt? And how do we honor our debts? Then eventually we talk about the big one that I know we will, if we ever have time, we'll talk about it, which is also insurance. Demystifying insurance. Insurance plays a crucial role in safeguarding these savings that we are doing for retirement. Then eventually talk about savings and investment. And finally, my favorite, which is our new way of retiring. Retirement is not age-based, ladies and gentlemen. It is opportunity-based. As we speak today, I was privileged to attend a conference for HRs, and they were saying in the next 3 years, AI is going to create 11 million jobs. But at the same time, 9 million jobs are being wiped away. Out of the 9 million, only 28% will be part of the next 11 million. What does that mean? That those opportunities they had, all of a sudden, they are gone. And that means retirement can come at 40, 45, 48. Then how ready are you for that? Before I shock you, I know we started with shock therapy. So we normally go through the Mind My Money program. Then eventually as we finish with the retirement segment, that's where now we crack in the numbers. Because now you're a little bit more aware. We've demystified some of the misconceptions we have about money, the misconceptions we have about retirement, and that's what we are doing. And we are not just doing it to employers and employees, we are also doing it to schools because that's our future, like you said. And the more we prepare the future, the better it will be for us, the easier it will be for us. Just to give you a quick statistic, in South Africa, they are considered to be they have the highest culture of savings in Africa. But as we speak today, I think it was beginning of the year last year, they increased their retirement age from 65 to 67. Why do you think that is happening? To allow people more time to save for more, because expenses are not going anywhere when we retire. Ladies and gentlemen, expenses will always be here with us. There is a report RBA did, the research that you released in March 2025, and it shows that retirees are spending majority of their money. Number one, guess what? Guess on what? Education. So they are paying school fees for children. It could be their own or their grandchildren. Number two expense.
Health.
Guess, not even health. Health was not even number two. Health was number 4.
Where?
Number 2, guess? Loans. So we are guaranteeing by the time we are retiring, it's around 22, 29 and 22. And you can see that tells you we are not facing our retirement. Facing in terms of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. Phase 1 is I need to start saving, build a fund. Phase 2, I need a home. Phase 3, I need enough money to educate my children if I have them. And phase 4, I need to replace my income. How are you doing this? And that's what he's alluding to, or that's what everyone here is alluding to, that we need to come with an approach to retirement that is not just looking at when I am 60, but even before I get to 60, I have a place to live, I've been able to take care of these other needs so that I replace my income and I'm eating my money with my wife or my husband as we enjoy our sunset days.
Eric, unaweza convince mtu atoe pesa yake yote sahi. Hey! As we conclude, Kiptanui, I want to end with this. I'm one of those who is contributing to pension through various ways. Mandatorily to NSSF, and then there's the employer's pension scheme. I have an individual pension plan, and then I and some 20 million plus others have done *254#, gone to the Hustler Fund, borrowed some money, and it has forced me to put money into retirement. Where is that money?
Eric,
the other money I know where it is.
This question should have come yesterday.
This Hustler Fund money.
But we are not going to run away from it. Of course, the Hustler Fund came in, and because mobilization of saving was critical, the 5% that was actually being taken away from your borrowing was having a good intention in as far as making sure that all the Kenyans out there are in a position really to have an account to start off with. So as you borrow, again, it goes on to the bundling of products that I was saying, that you're actually able to get that money. Of course, where are these funds? The funds are secure, and I would want to encourage all of us, as you said, when you go to *254#, for you to be able to check. The initiative that has come from National Treasury, there's a scheme that has actually been established, which now is going to take all these funds from the ASLA fund. And that scheme will now be under the regulations of the Retirement Benefits Authority, which means those members can still be able to have additional voluntary contribution in their accounts. They can now be able to access their statements real time, and they can now be able to get paid as at when they retire. So that was a stopgap measure to bring Kenyans on board as they borrow, the initiative that was started by government. But the 5%, which is critical to their future, is what now is being secured under the new scheme that has been established, where all these funds, and that scheme has been registered by the Retirement Benefits Authority.
And this question should have come yesterday.
So
I could have asked, in those 2 years, Connie, where was this money? If the scheme was just being, but we are out of time.
Yeah.
We will ask the Hustler Fund people.
Fine.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
We'll ask them. You relax.
But we are part and parcel of the same government, so we are good.
Yeah.
So if you allow me,
yes,
just to say
Maybe
one of
30
the things.
seconds or less.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. 25 years, of course, as Retirement Benefits Authority has been in place. We have been able to mobilize around 2.5 trillion Kenya shillings, courtesy of all of us. And I really want to say the issue about going forward, about preparing and saving is about trust. I want to assure all Kenyans that with the Retirement Benefits Authority in place, their funds are secure. We ensure that all funds that have been deducted, including the new scheme, the PSSS scheme that has come on board, which is really coming out of the Civil Service Pension Scheme, which is growing very fast. All those funds are secure. Let's have the conversation. 25 years ago, we would not have talked about planning towards retirement. But this is now the next phase. Let's have this conversation in the villages, wherever we are, and see ways in which we can be able to secure and live dignified life in retirement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have to wrap up. We're completely out of time, but a massive, massive thank you to you for watching, listening on Nation FM. A big thank you to our panelists as well, to our audience. We are at the KICC for, of course, the East Africa Pensions Conference and Expo 2025. We'll be back on Monday, 6 to 10 a.m. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. From myself, Mariam Bishar, Eric Latif, and of course, Janu in absentia. It's been a good morning. Have an even better weekend.